the opening of the 4th edition of the Africa Food Systems Forum in Dakar, Senegal, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame emphasized that agri-food systems are critical to national development and sovereignty.
Across the continent, we find largely subsistence agriculture, which we have to modernize and make it sustainable. We're not talking about food systems and agriculture thereof and the investments.
Meanwhile, unveiling the 2025 Africa Food System Report, Alice Ruiza, president of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, urged African leaders to treat agriculture as the backbone of economic growth. Delegates and participants also shared their expectations with WADR News at the end of the opening session.
The report makes clear that piecemeal interventions are no longer enough. Agriculture must not be treated as an isolated sector, but as a backbone of integrated food systems.
It's about time that we began to synergize our activities across our borders in order to effectively build on what we've all done to aggregate our momentum together and push for a stronger future together.
Running from August 31 to September 5, the forum is held under the theme Africa's Youth Leading Collaboration, Innovation and Implementation of Agri-Food Systems Transformation.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
The agreements cover areas such as agriculture, security and trade, including a bilateral air service agreement aimed at opening new routes for business and tourism. President Bola Tinubu welcomed Colombia's Vice President Francia Marquez, emphasizing that Nigeria's market of over 250 million people presents vast opportunities for Bogota. He assured that the implementation of these agreements would be expedited under the guidance of Vice President Kashim Shettima.
Now that the world trade is being battered by various tariff restrictions and alterations, we work on being a very good alternative market and a partner. This is a country of over 250 million people and is still growing at almost 3% per annum, and it's a good market for you.
In her response, Vice President Marquez stated that Colombia is intentionally seeking to reconnect with Africa in mutually beneficial ways. She emphasized the importance of enhancing bilateral relations through aviation, visa policies, cultural exchanges, and political consultations.
Hoy tiene una estrategia de reconexión con el continente africano.
Colombia has kicked off a very significant strategy to reconnect our people with the African continent as a whole. Africa and Colombia and Latin America as a whole share common historical ties. And of course, I, as the first Vice President of African descent of Colombia, I was indeed the ideal person to really lead this reconnection on behalf of our government.
para conectar con su país.
These agreements also hold significant cultural importance, as Colombia is home to one of the largest Afro-descendant populations in the Americas, many of whom trace their roots back to West Africa. Observers note that these pacts reflect Nigeria's increasing engagement with Latin America following similar agreements with Brazil concerning aviation and consular issues. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
At the ongoing 4-day West Africa Anglophone Quality Assurance Network conference held at Cottington University in Bon County, Liberia's Minister of Education, Dr. Jackson Jalla, raised a red flag over the chronic underfunding of quality assurance agencies across West Africa.
This gathering is our shared response. The theme before us, improving higher education institutions ecosystem through quality assurance, is timely and urgent. Quality assurance is not simply an administrative exercise. It is the foundation of credibility, employability, and trust.
Delivering the opening remarks, Professor Kayede Adekeye, president of the network, emphasized the essential role of quality assurance in ensuring effective and efficient education systems across the sub-region.
In the next 4 days, shall be sharing knowledge for the improvement of quality of the pupils in the higher education ecosystem. The training was held through IQA and was coordinated by the University of Duisburg-Essen in Germany.
Meanwhile, Dr. Romeo Houghton, president of Cottington University, described the conference as a destination for academic excellence in West Africa.
This conference, Improving Higher Education Institution Ecosystem Through Quality Assurance, provides a vital platform for collaboration, sharing knowledge, best practices, and innovative strategies to promote and uphold quality assurance standards within our institutions.
Participants at the conference include quality assurance professionals, higher education leaders, and policymakers from Nigeria, Liberia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia, all working together to address the pressing challenges in the higher education ecosystem. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's remain with our Monrovia correspondent, Abraham Parker, for the newspaper review from Liberia.
From Liberia's capital, hello and welcome to the Tuesday's edition of Press Review. This edition of Press Review features two local dailies from Liberia. Our first stop is the front page Africa News paper, volume 18, number 166. And the first story here says, petition denied. Supreme Court of Liberia slaps a defense petition for Setiwari in arson case, orders trial to proceed on Justice Willie. The next story says, ex-President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf goes bombastic, denies a report linking her to CDC support. She says, I'm out of their politics. Still on the front page Africa News paper, greatest national threat. New interim management team at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency declares drugs. Mean, lazy and savage. Former president of the Liberia Council of Churches, Bishop Kotu Brown, blasts Boaka Kun officials over flashy cars amid mounting challenges. Well, that does it for the front page Africa News paper. Our next and last stop is the Heritage News paper. And these are stories in the Heritage News paper. President Joseph Boakai to break ground for overhead bridges in Congo time. Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency announces drug testing for all agents. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf blasts the critics, denies any involvement with opposition CDC headquarters construction. Well, that does it for this Tuesday's edition of Press Review for Liberia's capital, Monrovia. And thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Abraham Parker, for the newspaper review from Liberia.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
In our guest interview this afternoon, we head to the Ghana's eastern region, where more than 52,000 registered voters are heading to the polls today in the much anticipated by-election in Akwatia constituency. Voting is taking place at 119 polling stations following the passing of the area's Member of Parliament, Ernest Yakume, in July this year. The by-election is widely seen as a straight contest between the country's two dominant forces, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and the New Patriotic Party, NPP. With Akwatia known as the swing constituency and a historic of tightly fought contest, the stakes are high and the outcome could send important signals ahead of the 2028 general elections. To help us understand the political dynamics at play and what is by-election could mean for Ghana's political landscape, we are joined now by Joseph Oti Frimpong, the coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODIO Secretariat.
The Akwatia by-election is another important opportunity for citizens to exercise their democratic rights. The Akwatia constituency itself is among the competitive constituencies in the country. The seat historically has alternated between the two major political parties, that's the NDC and NPP, with the NPP winning on 5 occasions as against 4 of the NDC. And usually by-elections in Ghana, they are often characterized by violence. Even one real run of about 19 polling stations that we had this year, there was some sort of violence. So today's election so far, we are the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, where we deployed observers, we have not witnessed some sort of violence. So for the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, as part of our contribution to promoting electoral integrity in the country, we deployed 25 observers across the constituency so that they will be able to capture the processes of the elections at every level. Out of the 25, we have stationed 21 at polling stations that were purposely selected. So we looked at factors like whether the polling station is a hotspot, a flashpoint, whether it's a calm polling station, whether it's competitive or shrink. So that's where we deployed about 21 observers. And we also deployed 3 observers to roam across the constituency to observe the processes of the by-election in the Akwatia constituency.
Given Akwatia's history as a swing constituency, what specific factors are likely to influence voter behavior in today's by-election?
Yeah, so looking at its history, the Akwatia by-elections, historically, the seat has been alternating between the MPP and NDC. This shows that the voters within the Akwatia constituency make their own choices, whether for the MPP or for the NDC. So there are several factors that they do consider situation at the time of, when the election is held. So definitely they may be voting based on economic factors or social factors or, developmental issues. That is how historically the trend has been. They do not usually align with just one political party, but they vote based on the issues that they do find themselves in. So I hope those factors such as the economy, development and mining and everything will play part since, it is a mining community.
Right. And talking about that, how significant is the outcome of this by-election for the broader political landscape ahead of Ghana's 2028 general elections?
Sure. So Ghana generally is seen as the yardstick for democracy in the West African sub-region. But it has its own problems as regards electoral integrity, and one of them is electoral violence. So usually our by-elections are characterized by violence. So it's something that we want to change. And all the major stakeholders have been engaging in one way or the other to ensure that we are able to reduce electoral violence in our elections. To the extent that even I think in 2019 there was an act that was passed to ensure that our elections are free from violence. So the Akwatia by-election is a test case of how we are able to manage our elections from violence. So if we are able to at least get a violent-free election, it will be a major milestone for us as we are going into the 2028 general elections.
Joseph O.T. Frimpong is the coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODIO Secretariat. And of course, quickly, let's take a look at a few transfer deadline day moves involving African footballers. Tolu Akodari of Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Nigerian striker, completed his move from Genk to Wolves on a 4-year deal for approximately £24 million. Tariq Lamptey to Fiorentina. The Ghanaian defender Tariq Lamptey left Brighton to join Fiorentina in Serie A, continuing his rapid rise with the move to Italy's top tier. Meanwhile, Nigerian winger Samuel Chikwezu completed a season-long loan to Fulham from AC Milan. Also, another Nigerian, Victor Boniface, departed Bayern Leverkusen on a season-long loan to Wadr Bremen, where his wage will be shared between the two clubs. And finally, Sevilla terminated the contract of Nigerian international Kelechi Iheanacho. And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Falilu So and Ismaila Kamara for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X and Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Sankule Janko. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.